There are lesser known tools of gaslighting by narcissists. And I'm going to make you aware of some of them today. Some of them you may already have experienced if you have been narcissistically abused. And we've all heard the term gaslighting. Gaslighting is just brainwashing. Gaslighting is an old term from an old movie that a man tried to gaslight his wife by turning the lights down to make her feel like she was crazy so he could steal all of her money. So it's an old term that really means they're just brainwashing and conditioning you to do their will, to bend you to their will and to get you off of yours. Narcissist, number one, every single one of these falls under a number one category of control. They just want to control you. They are not happy unless they're in control of everyone because they're so out of control with themselves. They have self-loathing they project onto you. Those are the obvious ones. And we all know that narcissists love bomb and then discard people. We all know they cut people off who don't fit into their agenda. They are a use you and lose you person, basically at the core. And those are the more overt ways they control you. But there's more to it than that. Everything they control you with is about their image. Even if it looks like they're being nice to you, they're not. So these are the sneakier ways and the less overt ways that narcissists work. I mean, and one of them is, we've all heard they isolate you from your friends, but some of them want you to go out with your friends and want you to see them on a limited basis so they don't look like they're controlling you. They're really sneaky about that. If they insist you see certain people and insist you don't see certain people, think about why that one person might be safer than the other one for them, not for you, but for them. Also, that is a lesser known tool of a narcissist. They also triangulate with those friends. They even do it with their own children. Triangulation is when they work two people against each other without the other person knowing. They may tell you bad things. It's backbiting. We all gossip. We all do those things. It's not nice, but triangulation is just the toxic, insidiously malignant form of getting people to dislike each other, but the narcissist is keeping them engaged with them and them only. So they're working all kinds of people against each other. And parents do this with their own children. They will pit one child against another. It's very sad that they do that, but they will. One child will be the scapegoat child. One child will be the golden child. This is a very difficult dynamic that you may have grown up in that sets you up for some of these lesser known tools of the narcissist we're about to go through. And one of them is they pay for things, and they pay for things you don't really need or want or wish for, but things they want you to have. They buy you ingratiating kind of gifts. Wow, that's very, very confusing. And if they hurt you or they're trying to make amends when they're love bombing you, they often bring you things you don't even want or care for. They might bring you this great piece of jewelry, but it isn't. You'd much rather have them be kind to you. You don't want the stuff, you want the kindness. They often use money to manipulate you. They really, really do. They also give fake apologies when they bring that stuff to you. They say, I'll never do it again. I promise. They're future faking you. It's just another form of future faking. Or they say, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Or I'm sorry I did that. I feel so badly about myself. But I wouldn't have done that if you'd have done this. So they give a lot of fake apologies and a lot of backdoor apologies. One of the worst things they do, this is changing gears a bit, they excessively tease you. Now I want you to think about that. People that are teased are called targets, and narcissists choose targets. They laugh at you, not with you. They make jokes about you at your expense. And if you say anything about it or confront them, they'll say, oh, you're so sensitive. Can't you take a joke? No, that isn't joking. It's making yourself look diminished in order to lift themselves up. And they do it with humor, and they smile, and they make it look like you should be not so sensitive about that. It's awful, because when excessive teasing happens, you just get worn down. You absolutely can't function around them, but you think, well, maybe I am too sensitive. And remember, self-doubt is the number one self-doubt is the number one symptom of narcissistic abuse. So if you're constantly doubting yourself, beware of that. Another tool they use is called imprinting. Now, imprinting seems so benign because all of us imprint in some ways. We send pictures. Imprinting is usually the picture says 1,000 words tool. Now, we all send photographs to one another. We all send pictures of happy times. We all do that. We all send photographs of things that people might love to see, or we're sharing something with them. That's not imprinting. Imprinting is when the narcissist uses a photograph or a text message or something from the past with an agenda. The agenda is always there. Remember, control, agenda. Their agenda is always control. So imprinting to a narcissist might look like this. You've broken up with one, you have finally detached from one, you may even be ghosting one, and they don't like it. They hate it when you leave them or exit or take time away. So they may send you a photograph from a happier time. I mean, a narcissist will even go so far as to divorce someone and then later send them a picture of their marriage or their wedding day. This is imprinting. They're trying to evoke an emotional response to keep you attached to them somehow. Be very careful if you feel like a photograph has an agenda attached to it. Very, very difficult to know because, like I said, we all use it, but a picture says 1,000 words. And if a picture is making you feel badly or making you feel nostalgic, gee, I wish we could still have that great relationship, watch out for that. It may have an agenda, because what they might be doing is love bombing you only to discard you yet again. Pay attention. Also pay attention, narcissists often will stand in the doorway while they're talking to you. So you can't get out. They'll just stand right there. And they usually start interrogating you. Like, why are you saying that? Why are you wearing that? Why did you say this yesterday? What did you mean by this? Well, when they stand in the doorway and start asking you questions, beware. Be very, very careful. Silence may be your best tool there. And just letting them stand in the doorway and not reacting or not responding because they're setting you up to get you upset, which is another insidious tool. They really, really do. They will set you up to get you to do things against your will. They will interrupt you if you confront them, so you can't really slip out of the door. They'll blame shift. If you say, why are you standing in front of the door? And they'll go, well, because, you won't listen to me. That's why, because it's your fault. Remember that. Be very careful if you try to confront them, because the answer is always going to be, it's your fault. Sometimes silence may be your best tool. It may also be something that you can't do. So remember if they're standing in front of the doorway, that they might be setting you up to get you upset. And if you don't allow them to control you in this way, they'll get very frustrated and they may even come uncorked themselves. They may even lose control. And another thing they do, other than standing in the door, when you're trying to go out the door, they try to keep you from leaving. It's always one last thing. Hey, before you leave, before you go to the post office, could you put this in an envelope and take it for me? They try to make you late, or they're late themselves, but they really do. They just, that one last thing, they're trying to keep you in control in the house, trying to make you late, trying to just get that one last thing before you go. If they're constantly doing that, the best way to handle that is just get up and leave, or don't pay attention to them when you're walking out of the door. And if they get angry, they get angry. But if you're late, by all means go. It's usually something they can do themselves. It's usually something so minute. And I always say the devil's in the details. It's some detail. It's some question they want to ask you. It's something that they're creating chaos for, that they make you feel is important, but isn't. Watch out for that. If they're trying to stand in the doorway or trying to keep you from going out the doorway, these are tools they use to keep you under control and where they want you to be. Now, also, they use strange things if you do confront them. They'll use time in a very strange way. I don't know why they do this. Your narcissist may not do this, but many times if you confront one, they'll say, it's Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'm not getting into this discussion. Or it's Saturday and it's 10 p.m. I'm not discussing this with you. I don't understand why they do that. Maybe somebody could leave it in the comments if that's what's happening to you. I don't get it. I don't know why they use time and a day to tell you you cannot confront them. Off limits. They're setting a boundary without having anything to base it on in reality. It doesn't matter when you confront someone. And even if you try to make an appointment to confront them, they will find some reason not to allow you to do that. Because what they're doing is trying to get you to bottle up your feelings. And then you implode or explode. And if you implode or explode when you've bottled up your feelings, because like I said, you're not bottling them bottling them up. They're forcing you to bottle them up. They get calm when you explode. Have you ever noticed that? If you finally unleash the truth in a narcissist, they go, oh, see, you are crazy. It's crazy making behavior. I like that term much better than gaslighting. It's crazy making behavior. They're trying to make you crazy. They're trying to get you upset. They're setting you up to get you upset. And then they get calm because they see you fighting with them as fighting for them. That's how twisted their brains are. If you're still attached, they're using negative attention to make sure you're still attached, because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. If you just walk away and detach, they can't handle that. They really, really can't. They just pretend to be perfect people, but they're terrified by a fear of abandonment. And another sneaky tool they use, and I am a therapist, they want you to go to therapy. Usually they want someone like me to fix someone like you for them. You don't need to be fixed. You're not the broken one. A lot of therapists say the people who belong in therapy are usually the ones that don't go, and the ones who do go are the ones who live with people who need to go to therapy. This would be very true in a narcissistic dynamic. You might even bring one to therapy. They might even insist that they come. But what they're trying to do in therapy is get the therapist on their side. And in couples counseling, the couple is actually the client. We're on the side of keeping the couple intact. They want to just throw somebody under the bus, and they will. A narcissist will do it. Now, they think that we're not on to that. They think that therapists don't see that, but we're all trained to see that. Because really what you're doing is you're not trying to live with that person. That person is trying to get you to live for them. And that's what it feels like when you've been narcissistically abused. You're not living with someone, you're living for them. And they love to go after highly intelligent people as targets. It's a challenge to them, like a trophy hunter. In fact, a trophy hunter said to me once, it was strange because I couldn't believe he was so transparent and said this. And he was an infamous womanizer. And that's all I can say. It wasn't someone I saw as a client. And I've heard this on more than one occasion, just not quite in these words. But I said, so how do you get all these women trapped, and how do you get them to do what you want? How do you do this? He said, oh, that's easy. It's kind of like hunting. You know, I just sit in a deer stand and I chum up the target with corn. I just throw corn out there and wait for a deer to come. I just wait. So they're listening to you. He said, I listen to what women want. I listen to what they say they want. Then I make sure I say that. That's his chum. That's the corn he's throwing out to get the innocent little deer in his sight. And then he even said, some I let go, and some are the targets. And he didn't know which one that was. And to me, it was probably more the challenging one. So, you know, watch out. You don't want to be a trophy hanging on someone's wall. You don't want them to be. You don't want to be someone's chum. Chumming is not what you want. In fact, we call people who hang around as chums. I wish we wouldn't do that, because narcissists will chum you up to tear you down and even annihilate you. They do, because they are chaos creators, and they make things look really peaceful and calm right before they pounce or create chaos. If you notice, this is a very big tool they use. And when they can get you to self-doubt in this chaos they throw at you and just flood your emotions, you get PTSD symptoms. We call it complex PTSD. That's not a formal diagnosis. And I'm going to start a whole series on post-traumatic stress disorder, the symptoms, what to do about it, because what a narcissist does is exactly what happens to people who are traumatized. They get emotionally flooded, and then they numb and they detach, they get depersonalized, derealized, and start doubting themselves. They doubt their environment. They doubt everything. They're scanning for things to go wrong instead of things to go right. So I'll be working on a series about that, because narcissists can kind of give you pre-traumatic stress disorder too. That's not really a word, but pre-traumatic stress, you know, they're just setting you up. And if you feel like you're in this constant state of flux, that's because some of these insidious, lesser known gaslighting tools may have been used on you. And when you try to break away from them to stay sane, they will still try to trap you. They'll chase after you. And if you secretly have this desire to get back at a narcissist and you want them to come back, if they have discarded you, well, if you really want them to come back, you can manipulate them and just detach from them when they finally come back, because they always come back, when you finally detach from them and don't send text messages back, or you don't fall for any of these tools I just told you, you're not chum, you don't let them tease you, you completely ignore any imprinting they might send you after the fact. When you do this, they will get very upset. They might even get stalkish. They might stalk your family and your friends to see how you are. They might come with big batches of roses. They might come to your house unannounced. They might bring you so many things. They might do so many things to make you believe they've changed. That's the worst tool they use. They make you believe they've changed. And you cannot change a narcissist. Narcissists seldom change, but they will change you. So hopefully this changed some of your impressions about what's been happening to you. And I look forward to talking to you again, and leave any comments and subscribe. And thank you so much for listening and taking the time to really think about how a narcissist may be affecting you, and how you can combat that with silence, with self-preservation, with self-care, and self-awareness. If you're conscious of your subconscious drive of any fear of abandonment, like the narcissist has a fear of abandonment, if you're conscious of this and you can break that need to be needed or to change a narcissist, you will be set free forever. And I hope you will be from this day forward.